Meli Kaliki Maka, welcome to Stir Crazy and happy Christmas in Hawaiian. So yeah, Meli Kaliki Maka, it's that great song by Bing Crosby and the Andrews Sisters. And so yeah, just to get you in a little bit of tropical spirit, that's what was playing just at the beginning there. So yeah, today, welcome to Stir Crazy. Thank you for choosing us for your Christmas crackers this year. And we have this phenomenal hot buttered popcorn rum wassailing hot punch mix up called our Christmas Carol cocktail. And so yeah, for this drink what we're going to be doing is we need to unpack what's in your cracker that's just exploded everywhere. And so in there you will have firstly 2 little bottles, numbers 1 and 2, so you need those. We also have some little bits of popcorn, and so hopefully like you popped your corn beforehand. So pop your corn now, press pause, and then come back to me in a minute when you've got a nice bit of popcorn. What I've done here is I've used the end of the cracker as my little popcorn bag for this, so you can see it all in there, lovely, full of popcorn and ready to garnish for my drink. The other thing you'll have in your cracker is a lovely little bit of popcorn fudge. So we've made this popcorn fudge and we've used condensed milk, we've used fresh, lovely salted butter. We've put a lot of popcorn flavour into it as well by making this lovely popcorn syrup. We basically steep popcorn in sugar water and then we thicken it up and then we add that into our fudge and it makes this lovely popcorn fudge. So we're going to be using that as part of our butter batter to create that. So for your masterclass today, what you'll need is you'll need a pan, a hob, a nice heat tempered glass or a mug. I'm using this lovely sort of thick heat tempered glass that we use for hot drinks at our bars. And yeah, so welcome to our tropical, hot, lovely, spicy drink here. And so what we're going to do here is the other things you'll need is a little bit of water, something to stir that pan with, and as we melt that fudge into it. So what's the ingredients we've got in there today? So this bottle number 1 has basically got a lovely popcorn infused Sailor Jerry rum. And so this Sailor Jerry rum, it's brilliant. It's got all sort of history in Hawaii and stuff like this. And so it's a lovely spiced rum. It has a little bit of a vanilla punch to it as well, but not too much. And so this was named after a guy who was called Norman Keith Collins. And he was born on January the 14th in 1911 in Reno. Grew up in Northern California, and as a child he kind of went all across the country, and he learned how to tattoo from a guy called Big Mike. And this guy Big Mike was from Alaska, and he did this kind of hand pricking method of absolutely painful Japanese style and Hawaiian island style of tattoos. And so he learned from this master, and so he basically taught him how to do it. And then he met this guy in Chicago, taught him how to use tattoo machines. And he practiced it on drunks brought in from Skid Row. I mean, it was a real character, this guy. So later on, he sort of sailed the Pacific Ocean. And so at the age of 19, this guy, Sailor Jerry, he basically enlisted in the United States Navy. And during his subsequent travels at sea, he sort of came across all of these lovely imagery and stuff like that. And so he started tattooing sailors, and then he ended up on these lovely Hawaiian islands. And while he was there, he was, in essence, just sort of tattooing people there, but he also had this big 3-schoonered yacht, and he would go and tour and do these tours of the islands to help supplement his income. And so yeah, they created this rum about a dozen years ago, 20 years ago, and it's just become an icon in our industry, and it's like we love it. And his tattoos, you can see them on the surfboard I've got here. There's one of a big shark here, another shark underneath my thing here as well, and it's like, his tattoos are iconic, and they've had, you look at Ed Hardy's shirts are covered in his tattoos, and all of these things have come from that. And it's sort of, so what we want to do is we want to make a drink with this Hawaiian based rum, inspired rum, and really give you this sort of tropical buttery winter punch. And it's a hot drink. So yeah, so what is hot buttered rum? So it kind of started out at about way back, and it was kind of this hot drink that they would have first. So it was usually just a hot butter batter, and it started in England, and they kind of did it there, and it sort of evolved and then moved over to America, and it it sort of goes to the colonial days in America, and rum was accessible there, and so they would start adding rum to fortify this sort of hot buttered drink at Christmas time. And so all these people in America had these different recipes from different regions. Some would have cognac, some would have bourbon, some would have rum. And so the one we've got is a lovely spiced rum, so it's got a lot of those winter spices in there already. And we look at these recipes, and we go back to the very, very first original cocktail books. This is a book by a guy called Jerry Thomas, and he basically, it's called the Bon Vivant's Companion, and it was written in 1862. And he's got 2 recipes in there for hot rum and hot spiced rum, and these call for Jamaican rum, cloves, allspice, butter, and hot water. And so these are the base of what we do with our hot buttered rums. And the second one that was in that book was called just a hot rum, and it didn't have the spices, but it had this lovely ground nutmeg on top. And so yeah, when we make these buttered rum cocktails, they're really decadent and smooth and really, really nice to drink. And so I'm going to start putting this into my pan now. So the first thing I want you to do is unpack your fudge and just sort of literally pop that in your pan. The other thing we want to do is we've got this lovely wassailing syrup. And so this wassailing syrup is basically a spiced syrup. It's got apple, pear, clove, cinnamon, nutmeg, all of those Christmas spices in it. And it's just delicious. And so we're going to pop that in as well with our fudge. And so it's a lovely, sweet, decadent drink, this one. I'm just going to pop that on ever so slightly on my induction hob here. I'm just going to start heating that up, and I want to stir it continually when I'm melting that in. And the next thing I'm going to do when I do this is just have a little bit of water on one side. And so the way we've made this fudge, there's a little bit of there's sugar, there's butter, but there's also some condensed milk in there as well. And so the condensed milk gives us a lovely creamy constituency. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to melt this down ever so slightly, just stirring that fudge the whole time into the sugar. I'm just going to drop that down a little bit just to do this softly. So what is this wassailing syrup, and where does wassailing come from? And so this drink is called A Christmas Carol. And so to learn the history of the Christmas Carol, we have to also learn about wassailing. And so wassailing basically falls into 2 distinct camps. And the wassailing was a house visiting wassailing, and then there was an orchard visiting wassailing. And so the house visiting wassailing was basically this practice of people going door to door, singing songs with a big punch bowl full of this sort of cider, and it would sometimes have rum in it as well, or cognac, and it would have all of these Christmas spices in there, and apple juice and everything else. And what would happen is this practice would go from door to door, and they would give a drink, and they would basically get rewarded with gifts. And so this idea of giving gifts at Christmas sort of came out of it as well. And this dates right back to the Middle Ages, this sort of practice. And it also dated back to the local peasants would go to the lord of the manor, and they would sing there as well. And the lord would bestow them with gifts, and they wouldn't be seen as beggars. They were just people, and they would give their blessing to the lord of the manor. Now, what you'll find is, as I've done this, the popcorn's melted into that sugar, and you've got this lovely liquid there. And we're just going to gently add in a little bit of water to this. And so all I'm going to do is pop in, I can just find my water, there we go, about 50 millilitres. So it's literally just a little bit, just to lengthen it a little bit, stirring it the whole time. And you'll suddenly get this sort of milky cream texture happening in there. So I'm just going to add a tiny bit to that, keep continually stirring. And then that'll just slowly be coming up to temperature. And you've starting to get this look of what the hot buttered rum looks like. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my popcorn infused Sailor Jerry and just pour that into my drink, all of it in, and just empty the whole lot into there. And this is my lovely boozy bit of it. And so we're just now, all we need to do is bring that up to temperature, and it shouldn't take too long. But as I said, this wassailing was this lovely tradition, and you would have people in the West Country, and they would basically go to cider orchards on the 12th night, and they would basically go and toast the year and the new orchard year and the new sort of coming into spring, the orchards would start to be blossoming. And so this was a great thing. It was sort of where we have that kind of crossover of the old year and the new year. And 12th night was historically on the 7th night in January, 6th or 7th night. But then again, we've got to go back further, and you go back beyond the Georgian calendar, which sort of was from the 1700s changed across. And we have this lovely, lovely sort of goes to about the 17th of January. And that would be when they would go to the orchards. So that's all up temperature. You can see it nicely steaming away. I don't want to bubble it, I don't want to burn it, and I don't want to also evaporate off any of my booze. I just want to bring it up to temperature. So yeah, all the time we just stir it in. And so, as you can see, there's a lovely bit of steam coming off here, and it's just about 70 degrees now when I've got that. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pour that lovely hot drink into my glass. So there we have it. We have our hot buttered rum, and this is our Christmas carol. And I'm just going to grate a little bit of nutmeg on mine, and just a tiny bit on there. And it's just, again, you can sprinkle some of your popcorn on top as well, and you'll get that lovely aromatic on the top of the drink. As I said, this wassail, what does it mean? And so the word wassail, it comes from the Anglo-Saxon greeting, which is was who hail, or be thou hail, or be in good health. And so it was this kind of, people would come to the door and they would say wassail and be in good health. And then the response would be drink hail. And this would mean drink healthily. And so these lovely kind of drinks would be these healthy kind of butter, and rum was seen as this tonic to restore the soul. And rum was seen as a real sort of great way of being restorative in old times, and it gave you health and all the rest of it. We now know that drinking too much is bad for you. So, but yeah, this sort of led into this other thing where the wassail became this reciprocal exchange, and they would go and sing these songs, and here we come wassailing. And so there would be this one which was a love and joy come to you, and to you your wassail too, and God bless you and send you a happy new year. And this would be given in the form of a song. And so this wassailing background, this practice became the English carol. And when you think about we wish you a Merry Christmas, this all comes from wassailing, and from this is where carol singing all evolved from. And so this tradition goes back hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years, and it's also this gift of having a figgy pudding and things like that as well. So I'm going to wish you a wassail and a very, very happy Christmas, and I hope you enjoy this, our Christmas carol cocktail. Thank you. Absolutely decadent and delicious. So happy Christmas, guys. Thank you for choosing Stir Crazy, and we will see you in the new year. Thank you. Good night.